Will you just list off the areas of that firearm where there was evidentiary support for inclusion of Tyler Robinson?
The swabs of the stock and grips of rifle, the swabs of the butt plate of rifle, swabs of the trigger and trigger guard of rifle with possible rich detail / smudging, the probability of an unrelated individual in the population who has not contributed DNA to the sample yielding this level of support is less than 1 in a trillion.
Find the gun, his DNA is on the gun, his DNA is on the rounds of the gun, and the caliber of gun is a 30-06, and then the class of caliber of bullet that was found in Charlie Kirk is a 30 class, which is a 30 caliber round. You can use deductive reasoning to say it is more than probable. It is beyond a reasonable doubt that that bullet came from that gun, even though the forensic evidence is inconclusive. Before we get back to the show, I want to tell you guys about Synergy. If you're tired of energy drinks that spike you up, make you jittery, and then crash you later, Synergy is built differently. Synergy Day gives you clean, steady energy and focus with natural caffeine from green tea. Synergy Night helps you wind down so that you can rest and you can wake up clean, not groggy. It's a simple day and night system made with natural ingredients, no sugar spikes, and no synthetic stimulant overload. Go to SynergyLife.com and try it for yourself. Better energy, better rest, better rhythm. Let's get to the super chat. Anthony, thanks so much for the super chat. Thank you for covering this because it did fall. I did fall for the conspiracies, but after watching your videos, everything makes sense. From Hawaii. What's that? Mahalo from Hawaii. Oh, thank you from Hawaii. It's Hawaiian. Thank you, Anthony, my brother. I appreciate you, and I hate that sometimes I get superfluous and I start calling people names because I got good folk that follow me that just fall for some of this stuff, and it's not that I think that you're a complete idiot for falling for this. You're a complete idiot if you are pushing it and you know better. But it is when you have never been in law enforcement, it's not as simple. That's why people have to rely. Well, you don't have to rely, but it'd be in your best interest to listen to people who've been in law enforcement, have done investigations, to give you some guidance and direction, and you can make the decision on your own. But when you haven't been in law enforcement and you don't know how investigations go, all of this could seem conspiratorial, right? Why did they pave over the thing? Well, when you don't know how evidence work and crime scenes work, it's reasonable to think, dang, that's crazy. Why they pave this thing over? When you listen to people talk about 30-06 and you're like, 30-06 will just blow right through people, which probably 99.9% of the time it'll blow through you like a piece of paper. But when you don't understand evidence as well as somebody who does these investigations and you're not trained to be patient and let the evidence come out, it's easy to fall for conspiracy theories. But that's why your boy's here to help you get past the conspiracies in good faith, because these other people are telling you lies and they're not doing it in good faith. What does inconclusive mean in regards to the bullet fragment? That just means they can't prove that it came from the gun and they can't prove that it didn't come from the gun. Therefore, it's inconclusive. It's like if y'all watch football and they do a review and they go, is the pass complete or incomplete? And they go and review it. And they can't find or see enough evidence that will make it conclusive. So they go, the ruling is inconclusive, and then they go on with the play. But let me give you guys this. There is other elements of an investigation that they use to determine that bullet came from Tyler Robinson's gun. One is that Tyler Robinson said he shot Charlie with that gun. The caliber of the gun is the 30-06. So then there were rounds found in the gun and rounds found that were connected with the gun, all having his DNA on it.
Will you just list off the areas of that firearm where there was evidentiary support for inclusion of Tyler Robinson?
The swabs of the stock and grips of rifle, the swabs of the butt plate of rifle, swabs of the trigger and trigger guard of rifle with possible rich detail / smudging, the swabs of the bolt of the rifle with possible rich detail / smudging, and the swabs of the forend of the rifle.
We go to page 3.
Swabs of the barrel of the rifle with possible rich detail / smudging, the swabs of possible rich detail / smudging on the optical accessory.
And page 4.
The swabs of the protected underside of the receiver of the rifle after disassembly. The swabs of one 30-06 cartridge case, the swabs of one 30-06 cartridge and the swabs of one 30-06 cartridge.
I want to ask you about a couple of those conclusions. Let's look at page 5, please. And calculation number 3, exhibit 1.3, do you know where that swab was taken from?
I'd have to refer back to page 2.
Can we refer back to page 2, please, Kimberly? Thank you.
The 1.3 is the swabs of the trigger and trigger guard of the rifle.
All right, going back to page 5, and we've had some talk, some testimony from you and some questions for you about the likelihood ratios. What was your conclusion as to the likelihood ratio that you analyzed in this question in calculation number 3?
For this exhibit, the DNA profile was at least 1 trillion times more likely if it originated from Tyler Robinson as the major component and 3 unknown unrelated individuals than if it originated from 4 unrelated individuals.
You say at least 1 trillion times more likely. So it could be a much higher number than 1 trillion. Is that accurate?
It's possible.
But the protocols in your laboratory say you cap that at the number 1 trillion. Is that right?
Correct. We would not report a number higher than 1 trillion.
And it looks like you also did a probability statistic as well in paragraph E. Is that right?
Correct. It's another way of stating the likelihood ratio statistic.
And will you state your findings you made here in paragraph E, and that's on page 6.
The probability of an unrelated individual in the population who has not contributed DNA to the sample yielding this level of support is less than 1 in a trillion.
What are we looking at here in exhibit 19?
This is the cartridge case that was recovered from the gun.
And what position was this in the gun?
This was this is what was in the chamber.
Okay. And the chamber meaning that's where a cartridge is before or when it is fired, correct?
Yes.
Do you notice an inscription or an etching on this cartridge case?
Yes, I do.
Will you read what that says?
Yes. Notices bulge.
And if we can go down to page 2 of the exhibit, will you read what this says?
OWO, what's?
And to page 3,
This.
and question mark, correct?
Yes, question mark.
All right, if we go to State's Exhibit 20, is this a photograph of one of the cartridges that was found in the gun?
Yes, it is.
And what are we looking at here in this view of page 1 on Exhibit 20?
This is the head stamp of it, and it says it is according to the head stamp, it is a Remington 30-06 Springfield.
Is that a different caliber than a .223 round?
Yes, it is.
Will you look at page 2 of Exhibit 20? Will you read the markings here?
A fascist,
And page 3
catch,
and page 4?
up arrow, right arrow, down arrow, down arrow, down arrow.
All right, let's go to Exhibit 21. And was this another round that was found in the gun?
Yes.
Will you read the inscription here?
O Bella Chow,
Page 2.
Chow Chow.
All right, let's go to Exhibit 22. Another round that was found from the gun, correct?
Yes.
Will you please read the letters here?
If you read
Page 2,
this, comma, your, or correction, this, comma, you are
page 3,
gay.
and page 4.
LMAO.
So when you have a person that say, I used this gun to shoot Charlie Kirk and kill him, you find the gun, his DNA is on the gun, his DNA is on the rounds of the gun, and the caliber of gun is a 30-06, and then the class of caliber of bullet that was found in Charlie Kirk is a 30 class, which is the 30 caliber round. You can use deductive reasoning to say it is more than probable. It is beyond a reasonable doubt that that bullet came from that gun, even though the forensic evidence is inconclusive. So with evidence that's inconclusive, if somebody say it don't match, that's not the full truth, because they can't determine if it matched or not because it was so fragmented. Because there's a possibility, and according to the woman that testified today, there were areas of the round that did match the striations, not the striations, but the tooling of the gun and some of the markers that when you fire it, it's got spin on it, and there's certain, scratches that it leave in layman's terms. And she had made mention that there were a lot of matches on the rounds that she test fired with the fragmented rounds in Charlie Kirk's body. But it wasn't enough, and it wasn't sufficient amount that she could make a conclusive statement. And then, all right, here's another thing. She did a certain testing that's not the most modern testing. There's 3D testing that wasn't done on the gun. There's a possibility they may actually do more testing that could cause a conclusive determination. But they're not there yet, but they don't even need that evidence because they have a confession from Tyler Robinson that he used that gun to shoot Charlie. All right, let's go to the next round. Did the judge seem frustrated today, or was it just me? No, he was frustrated today. He was frustrated every day, and he let me give him some advice. If the judge somehow watched my YouTube channel, you wouldn't be so frustrated if you nip it in the bud, man. Like when they're filibustering and going on and on about things that are not pertaining to a probable cause hearing, please just stop them. And say, like he did today at the very end, where he say, look, I'm not going to let you ask any more questions. Like, you're going beyond the scope of what I'm even evaluating. If he'd have done that the second and third and fourth day, which he did at the end of today, he wouldn't have been frustrated because the court would have went in his favor, and it wouldn't have been so much of a rigmarole, and they would have been done on Wednesday, if you ask me. And I would have liked for the prosecution to object when the guy is literally doing an evidentiary hearing and a probable cause hearing. You say objection, Your Honor. Your Honor has already made mention that this is going beyond the scope of probable cause. Your Honor, with all due respect, I think in fairness, you have made mention, and out of respect for the court, this is not respectful to the court, and this needs to stop. And object, Your Honor. That you just keep doing that instead of letting him go 45 minutes. Then he go, I got one more question. Another 45 minutes. I mean, everybody's want to pull their hair out and their teeth out at the same time. All right. Super Chat says from Jay says, I remember Candace Owens says that Charlie's wife was in on it. Has she since retracted a statement? I personally think that Candace Owens owes Erica Kirk an apology. If you're looking at evidence, it's no way that Erica Kirk, did I say that right? I don't even want to mix the names up. It's a long day. It's no way that Erica Kirk was involved. You know, like when you say someone is involved in a killing of their husband, you have to have some evidence that points you in that direction that is legitimized. Did you guys hear in the trial today any such thing that the defense is claiming that anybody other than Tyler Robinson did this? The defense is not even arguing if Tyler Robinson did it or not. They're not arguing. They're not. They didn't even cross-examine the witness that introduced Liz Twiggs' interview. They didn't even cross-examine that person. Not at all. They didn't poke holes in the fact that Tyler Robinson was on campus or not. They didn't do any of that. They're not even arguing this. It is clear. The evidence is in. People are living in La La Land. And Erica Kirk had nothing to do with Charlie Kirk's death. I see her cry and break down. I've talked to her on the phone when she cried. She's having a genuine reaction. She's there with his family. You think his mom and daddy in on it? They were all crying together. If it was so blatantly obvious that Erica Kirk was in on it, I think Mr. Kirk and Mrs. Kirk would have nothing to do with her. They wouldn't even be at the trial sitting next to her. Why would they? If they somehow had any inclination that their son was being betrayed by his wife. Anyway. All right. Super chat from Duncan. Thanks so much for super chat. Appreciate all you do. Pray for the Kirk family and you. Do you expect the judge to decide tomorrow on probable cause was met? It has been determined today that he's not going to make a decision until September the 1st. And it's a bunch of formalities. That man has everything he needs right now to develop, to establish probable cause, and they can go to trial tomorrow, and it'll take one day, and the jury would deliberate for 35 seconds, and it'll be a guilty verdict. That's how confident I am based on the evidence that has been presented. It doesn't seem that there's going to be any way out for the defense, but through formalities where we found out that they got to do memos and argue, and they got to do a statement and a rebuttal to statements, and they got to be thorough. But the judge pushed it out to September the 1st, which is disappointing, but I'm glad that it's thorough, and I'm confident that it's going to be established probable cause. Josh, thanks so much for the super chat. Will they plead guilty to avoid the death penalty? I don't really know. I got to do my research on this, right? I do not think the prosecution is going to give them a plea deal. And I don't even know how that would happen in Utah, but I don't anticipate the prosecution is going to give him a plea deal. So it's not like there's any scenario that exists where he's going to say, hey, can I do a plea deal? I'll plead guilty if you do this in lieu of trial. I don't think the family's going to go for it, and I don't think the prosecution is going to go for it. But I think he can plead guilty. And then there may be a separate hearing for sentencing. And I think that's what the difference is going to be. I anticipate that Tyler Robinson is going to plead guilty. I'm not saying I know that with a lot of confidence, because I have no idea what they think they got. But all the evidence that I've seen and the testimony that I've seen is like completely damning. And it would be in his best interest to just plead guilty, because maybe if he plead guilty and show some sympathy in the sentencing hearing, and they don't have to go through all this evidence and see how bad it really is, and they just have to do sentence in front of a judge, he might escape the death penalty. Because in the state of Utah, they rarely dish out the death penalty. And although this was a heinous crime, there is way more heinous crimes that have happened in Utah. And I'm talking about dismemberment. I'm talking about crimes against children. I'm talking about things like that people get life for, that they don't get the death penalty for. Although this was hurtful to us, me, people who love Charlie, this was a simple case of somebody getting mad at another person and shooting and killing them. That's pretty much what it boils down to. There was no dismemberment. There was no hiding a body in the somewhere, or rape involved, and some other gruesome circumstances, torture or something like that.